The Shelby GT350, I loved those. There was one dealership near me that had one, but they would not let me test drive it unless they were the ones who approved the financing. I went in there with the pre-approval from my bank. They said, no, we don't believe that basically. And they had to do a hard credit pull to approve me before letting me drive it. And granted, I did show up in the Subaru Forester, so they probably thought I wasn't serious, but there's no situation in which I'm going to buy a $50,000 vehicle without test driving it. And as someone who's very financially conscious, I'm not dropping my credit score by 15 or 20 points by doing a hard credit pull so they can pre-approve me for a car that I may or may not even like at a price point that is not even like the cheapest example of that vehicle. I also had previous bad experiences with that dealership, so I was like not really too upset about not giving them my money. However, this was when they were a lot newer as well, so finding one that was both within driving distance for me to go get and that I could test drive and that was within my budget, it just didn't work out. So a lot of them were several hours away, and actually a lot of them sold before I was even able to go test drive them. There is one other local dealership I went to, and I actually had a great experience with them. That was Bonneville & Sons in Manchester, New Hampshire. And the reason being is they had an S550 Mustang. Now, I really wanted the track pack. I was dead set on if I got an S550 that I would have to get one with the track pack. That was like the one thing that I really wanted on my S197 that I didn't have. And with the intent to go back into performance driving, that was more of a necessity for me. That was actually really good. I really enjoyed that car, but it was not a track pack car, so I ended up passing on it. While I was there, I was discussing my budget and stuff with the dealer, and I kind of told him, you know, I can spend more, but it really depends on if I like the car enough, so the deal would really have to make sense. And they just happened to have a wide body Scat Pack Challenger at the time, brand new. And the wide body Scat Packs are pretty cool cars. I know, it's not a Hellcat, but also the Hellcats are like $70,000, and they didn't have any Hellcats on the lot at the time. Furthermore, with the rebates and stuff they had going on at that time, a brand new warranted Scat Pack, which is a 485 horsepower car with a 6-speed manual, and again, a factory wide body, was about $43,000, which I actually think is a very reasonable price for what is frankly a high horsepower, wide body, warranted vehicle. So this is actually the one I drove. It was a very cool car, and the tires on all four corners were 305 wide. That said, the Challengers, as many people on the internet know, have a lot of weight. And weight on a track vehicle means you're going to go through more tires, you're going to go through more brakes, there's just more consumables involved, and 305 tires are not cheap. That car had a ridiculous amount of grip when you threw it into corners at speed, but I could very much tell that there was a decent amount of body roll and there was a lot of weight to it, so it wasn't like flickable left and right. It was just really aided by the size of the tires. So I was kind of thinking about it when I drove that and the Mustang back to back, and I was like, you know, I could just put a wider set of wheels on the Mustang, still be legal for certain autocross and time trial classes, and then guess what? I still have a car with cheaper brakes, cheaper tires, that goes through them less often, that still puts down probably faster lap times. So at that point, the S550 Mustang was one of the leaders in my mind, which got me thinking of what if I bought one that was already set up. So I started looking at modified ones. I know I said I wasn't going to buy a modified car, there's reliability issues, but if I could find a car that was done right, I could give up some of the track driving if it was like fast enough as a street car, or if it was just fun enough in other ways, if it was like a cool enough and enjoyable build. So I actually found a few that were supercharged, and they had the Palm Beach Dyno Stage 3 setup, which is like 700 wheel horsepower, and a couple of them had the right cooling mods and stuff too, so they would be reliable enough to maybe do like 1 or 2 track sessions, or at least try to, and hopefully it wouldn't blow up. I was maybe going to risk that, but quite frankly, 700 horsepower is a lot for a track car, so that would have been really sketchy. But I actually had this one lined up. I had a price agreed on. I think it was $29,000. I had the approval from the bank. I sent the bill of sale to have the guy sign. It already had my signature. I had the bank paperwork filled out that he just had to sign with like the intent to sell. I had the time arranged to go pick up the car. I had insurance lined up. I had everything set. It was a done deal. And then the guy sold it out from under me the day before I went to pick it up. He was like 2.5 or 3 hours away, so I couldn't really pick it up during the week because I would have had to get someone to give me a ride out there. So I had to wait till either like the Friday or the Saturday morning, and I was gonna go like first thing one of those mornings because that's when I had a day off. And he sold it like the Thursday afternoon and then just shot me a text. Didn't give me any heads up the 3 days before that. Didn't give me any warning when I sent over the paperwork and everything. everything. So here I am thinking everything's hunky-dory, and that guy kind of screwed me over. That is one of the worst experiences I've ever had trying to buy a car. So it's been 2.5 years. I wish I could say I am over it, but I am clearly not. But it kind of worked out because the Viper I bought ended up going for sale like a couple weeks later. So if I had bought that, I wouldn't have my dream car, and instead I would just have this ultimate Hoon machine with maybe questionable reliability. And some of the final cars that I test drove were